Tonight on KGW News at 6, disgusting allegations against a Hillsborough man. The school bus driver for special needs kids arrested for sexually abusing one of them. How the school district finally found out.
One step closer to repealing Obamacare. The House narrowly approves its new measure and replacement. Oregon and Washington leaders widely panning it. The leader who called it the worst bill he's seen in 20 years.
And where is all that pot money going? We verify whether those taxes have made it to the schools like they were supposed to. KGW News at 6 starts now.
Everything's on video. Everything's being filmed from multiple angles.
A rioter caught red-handed.
And that all becomes evidence.
Confessing to throwing a flare into a police cruiser, blaming everything on mob mentality.
Bullies beyond the schoolyard.
It's truly an epidemic.
More than a quarter of Americans say they've been bullied at work.
Emotional terrorism, if you will.
What you can do, even if the bullying is coming from the boss.
The Trailblazers enter the video game world.
There's been explosive growth with esports.
And if you're a gamer, you might be recruited.
It's the first time a professional sports league has gotten officially into esports.
How a new team of Trailblazers may replace the basketball with a remote control. We begin tonight with breaking news in Northwest Portland. A head-on crash at Skyline and Ash Road.
First responders have taken 3 people away with what Portland police call traumatic injuries. Portland Fire and Rescue tweeted 2 people were in critical condition and 1 person was pinned. Again, 3 people have been transported from the scene. We'll keep you posted on this story on KGW.com.
We want to warn you about some graphic details in this next story. A Hillsborough school bus driver for kids with special needs is accused of sexually abusing one of them. KGW's Mike Benner spoke with officials in the Tigard-Tualatin School District, and he is in Tigard for us tonight. Mike?
Yeah, Joe, as you can imagine, district leaders are absolutely sickened by the allegations. They tell me Mario Mendez Ruiz has been with the district for 2 years. In fact, he passed a criminal background check at the time of his hiring. I want to go ahead and show you some video shot earlier this afternoon. The 60-year-old man making his first court appearance just a few hours ago. It appears as if he was trying to avoid our camera in the courtroom. Detectives say Ruiz sexually assaulted a young girl with special needs on 2 occasions. They say after dropping off all the other kids, Ruiz drove the bus to a neighborhood, parked it, and engaged in that criminal behavior with the victim. Making matters even worse, we're told Ruiz gave the girl money and instructions to keep quiet.
It's awful all the way around. It's, we feel terrible for the student. We feel terrible that, one of our employees has been charged with harming a student. I think what was positive was the student reported it to her mom right away. The mom contacted us.
The Tigard-Tualatin School District placed Mario Ruiz on paid leave immediately. He's currently facing sex abuse, kidnapping, and criminal mistreatment charges. We can tell you authorities aren't aware of any additional victims. Back to you.
Sad story indeed. Thank you, Mike. Well, on top of trying to fix lead, asbestos, and radon problems, rebuilding crumbling schools, and pass a $790 million bond, PPS faced another huge setback today. The man all set to become the new superintendent unexpectedly pulled out today. We've been told it was a mutual decision between Danielle Dickey and the board. We asked board members why it happened. They only told us expectations for the job were not in complete alignment.
And the strength in this district is the families, the students, and the administrators and the teachers. It's not about one individual, and you want to have the best fit. So that's my response to parents. I feel like we've come some distance. We clearly have some distance to go.
The board says it will just keep searching for a replacement.
He was caught on camera throwing flares into police cars and businesses. Tonight, police say that arsonist is behind bars. KGW's Pat Doris looked into his background. And Pat, he's looking at some serious charges now.
Absolutely, Laurel. He's 22 years old. His name is Damian Feller. He's from Tacoma, but he told police he's lived on the streets of Portland for the last year. And according to court documents, he's confessed to the arsons. That big fire in the middle of Southwest 4th and Morrison, the shoving of a lit flare into a police car, and the throwing of another lit flare into the Target store, according to police, all the work of the same man. This man, 22-year-old Damian Feller. He appeared in court today wearing a Suicide Watch top. He's charged with 2 counts of arson and 1 of riot, each a felony.
Fortunately, nobody was injured in either of these incidents, but as you can imagine, throwing a lit flare into an occupied commercial business is incredibly dangerous.
Police arrested Feller late yesterday. A detective involved in an earlier case with him recognized him from his clothing, shoes, eyeglasses, and physical characteristics. This is Feller's Facebook page with pictures that appear to come from the anarchist gathering just before the march Monday night. His background includes an arrest in Umatilla, apparently for trying to get on a freight train. His Facebook page has a few pictures aboard trains, and an arrest last month in Portland for reckless burning involving a lit flare. According to the court documents, Feller confessed to throwing a flare into the downtown Target store, it lit a carpet on fire, and to shoving the flare into the back of the police car. He's quoted saying that when he saw the images online, he knew he was in big trouble. Police say they are not done rounding up suspects from May Day's riot.
And we're not done investigating. This is the first arrest after May Day. There may be more arrests, and there may be more charges. Nobody should be sitting back thinking we're not looking for more people to hold accountable, because we are.
And police say they're still looking for tips and video and pictures. If you have any you want to contribute, you can do that on the Crime Stoppers webpage. Back to you.
Pat, thanks very much. Let's take a look outside. Another warm day, even warmer than yesterday. Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino here now. Matt, things are changing, though, as we speak.
They are changing rapidly and have been for a couple of hours, Joe. A really interesting sky, and there are more storms to come. But check out this video of hail that fell. This is out in the gorge. A little bit sideways there, but you can see it coming on down. This is in North Bonneville on the Washington side of the river. So just a note, try to shoot your video horizontally so we don't have these 90-degree angle issues, but you get the idea. The hail was falling. In fact, we had reports of hail nearly the size of golf balls out by Carson, not far from where that video was shot. We've dropped on down into the 70s, but yes, we made the 80s today. It was even warmer than yesterday. More on that later. Thunderstorms, though, they're all around. And in fact, this one moving right up the valley right now. So here's McMinnville, just to the north of McMinnville. Some really heavy rain coming out of this cell. Rainfall rates reaching couple 3 inches an hour with that one. But hail has been the history of these storms. A lot of hail, in part because these storms are developing 45,000 feet up into the atmosphere. A lot of lightning as well with these storms too, not to be forgotten about. You can see the tracks on all of these moving to the north or northeast about 20 to 25 miles an hour. And there are plenty of them out there. So we'll keep an eye on it for you. Some pictures for you from Twitter. That's up in Brush Prairie. This was a severe thunderstorm near Mount St. Helens about an hour ago. Storms will continue to develop up the valley tonight. They will die off after about 11 o'clock. And tomorrow, much cooler. But the weekend doesn't look too bad. We'll have more on that later. Tracy, back to you.
Thank you, Matt. Well, while you may have wanted to stay home and play hooky today, the hot weather was also a chance to get some much-needed work done outside. Brian Brennan joins us live. And Brian, lots of people depend on the weather cooperating, and of course, that hasn't been the case lately.
That's true, yes. And even people we talk to say they work through the rain, really no matter what the weather is like. They do enjoy working on a nice sunny day every now and then. And you can tell from this freshly paved road, crews were able to get some work done today.
Yeah, the physical exercise is excellent.
It's a warm, sunny day and a chance to be productive.
Well, you don't get wet, and it's a lot easier to mow. The grass is not wet.
A carpenter on the Broadway Tower project says the weather has only really stopped them once.
Because of weather was when we got about 8 inches or a foot of snow on the ground, and it was kind of hard. But we still came in for half a day because we got a delivery.
They keep cranking away even in the rain, but it does seem like things fall into place a lot easier and faster in dry conditions.
It's harder to move in rain gear, and surfaces aren't as slippery when they're dry, like walking on the joists up there.
For other crews, this is the only way to work.
So we've been waiting weeks to get our paving crew out to 102nd Avenue.
The Portland Bureau of Transportation can't patch potholes in the rain. The asphalt wouldn't set correctly. They've been trying to tackle a huge backlog, one dryish day at a time.
every little day here and there when we could get a half a dry day or another half a dry day. It's catch as catch can.
The people we talk to know the sunny skies won't last very long.
Yeah, I'd just love to see our warm weather come back.
But they are hoping it won't be too long before it returns. PBOT has been able to patch about 6,000 potholes since February 24th. They still have about 1,000 more to go. Back to you.
I've noticed some of the ones I've hit have been patched. It's good to see. Thank you, Brian. Well, now to Portland's homeless crisis. Does a year make a difference? Those working in Portland's tourism industry think so. Last year, they were very vocal about the city's homeless population and how it affects tourists. Today, they're saying something else. KGW's Maggie Vespa's here now. And Maggie, we asked because peak tourism season's almost here.
Yeah, Laurel, it is. As you know, that kind of really hits its stride in mid to late May, so we've got a few more weeks here. And around that time, we've also noticed the size of our homeless population tends to spike as well, as some transients sort of make their way up the West Coast to escape the heat of the South. Both of these, obviously, annual traditions that spark annual conversations. And this time, as you said, last year, heads at Travel Portland went on our air, slamming the city and then Mayor Charlie Hales. They said tourists were noticing all the tents and tarps, adding it left a bad impression of the Rose City. Well, today, at an event trumpeting ties between tourism and local businesses, the CEO of Travel Portland had a little bit of a different take. Take a listen.
Tourists are going to come here and they're going to see our population of homeless folks and people that need help. And our job as the tourism community is to do things that help, like today's benefit is for New Avenues for Youth. So it's how can our industry help those in need?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a different message there. So Jeff Miller went on to praise new Mayor Ted Wheeler's efforts to address the homeless crisis, but added there is still a lot of work to be done. He did kind of say and allude to the fact that, you know, we've got a new mayor as far as he hasn't been through a summer as mayor yet and kind of had to address the crisis without all that inclement weather that we had in the winter. So we'll see how that works out.
But businesses still have to deal with it, right?
Yeah, so this is kind of almost like a career fair for the businesses that really play to tourists. And we had hotel clerks, restaurant waiters, tour guides, and they were saying, yeah, we have to explain this to tourists. And one told me today, if people ask, we'll definitely answer, but we try not to bring it up or linger on the subject because it's kind of, in her words, a little bit depressing. So you try to distract everybody and move on after you've explained it.
A lot to watch this summer.
Definitely.
Thank you, Maggie.
Sure.
Be sure to follow Maggie on Twitter. She's Maggie_Vespa. She's always monitoring Portland's homeless crisis for us. And to catch up on our coverage, head to KGW.com.
Tonight, our Verify team is looking at legal marijuana in Oregon and the taxes collected from it. You've asked us whether that money is being spent as promised, going towards schools, cities, police departments, among other things. So KGW's Chris Willis did a little digging to verify whether it is.
Oregon is generating a lot of tax money from marijuana sales, way more than anyone envisioned. In fact, in just the past 12 months, the state has brought in $53.75 million in pot tax revenue. The law says after expenses, that money must be distributed as follows. 40% right to the schools, 20% goes to drug, alcohol, and mental health treatment programs, and 20% goes to Oregon counties and cities. 15% goes to the Oregon State Police, and the last 5% goes to the Oregon Health Authority. So we wanted to verify, is that money actually making it to these groups? Short answer is no. At least not yet. Right now, tens of millions of dollars in tax revenue is just sitting in a state account. So to find out why, we called two people at the responsible state agencies. Joy Krawcheck works for the Oregon Department of Revenue. Those are the folks who collect taxes in Oregon. Mark Pettinger works for the Oregon Liquor Control Commission. That is the state agency that runs the marijuana program. And we asked, why is this money just sitting idle when it could go to schools, police, and other programs? The answer involves a one-time provision in the law that allows recreational marijuana in Oregon. It says the OLCC has got to pay back all the initial setup costs on the new marijuana program before anyone else gets paid. Krawcheck said the state cannot distribute the rest of the money to anyone until that's done. So, when will the money start flowing to schools? Well, by law, it's got to happen by this September, although it could happen sooner. For Verify, I'm Chris Willis.